in the dead of night, she was wheeled outside the gate like trash. Her twin sister, Gloria, was the one behind the wheelchair, grinning. From inside the mansion, their parents yelled coldly, "Lock that gate! That girl is so irritating." "I can't keep a crippled child here," their father screamed. And Gloria? She didn't flinch. She laughed. "Roll yourself away from here, Glory." "Please," Glory sobbed. Her voice broke like a cracked plate. "You're my twin sister, my only family. Don't do this to me, please." But Gloria leaned closer, her perfume sweet, her heart sour. "I swear, if I see you here by morning," her smile turned wicked, "I will do the unthinkable." Then slam, the gates closed, and as the crippled girl wheeled herself into the dark street, the skies wept, a heavy rain fell, and that was the beginning. Subscribe and watch the full story unfold. This isn't just a tale, it's a scar, and the full story begins now. Gloria and Glory were born on the same day. Same hospital, same cry, same beauty. Two adorable twins that could melt any heart. Their parents used to show them off like trophies. Everyone called them Double Joy. But joy didn't last. When they turned 10, life split them into two different worlds. Gloria grew into a proud beauty, tall, shiny, confident, while Glory's world ended the day she got sick. It started like a normal fever, then pain, then screaming, then silence. She was rushed to the hospital in the middle of the night. She came back home, in a wheelchair. Yes, Glory, once the life of the house, was now the cripple. At first, her parents tried to pretend. "Oh, don't worry, she'll walk again," they'd say to visitors. But behind closed doors, they acted like she didn't exist. Gloria avoided her like a plague. "Don't roll near me, Biko," she would say, waving her hand like Glory had a virus. "Your wheelchair is making noise, Abig." Sometimes they would lock Glory in a room for days, especially when important guests came around. She cried herself to sleep, clutching old photos of her and Gloria running in the garden, playing hide-and-seek, sitting on their father's lap, getting matching teddy bears. She remembered those days clearly. She remembered the moment everything changed. And she remembered how fast her parents forgot her. Glory became the leftover child, the house ghost, only seen when she blocked someone's way. The same family that once adored her beauty now walked past her like furniture. She sat by the window every evening, watching Gloria dance and pose for selfies. Sometimes Gloria would laugh out loud and say, "I poise for my future. I am not like someone that can't do this." Glory would say nothing. She only allowed her tears to fall freely. Her life, a shadow of what it used to be. Once the darling of the house, now just a burden on wheels. One afternoon, she slipped from her wheelchair. She hit the floor, hard. No one came. She waited. She called out, "Mummy." Her mother walked in, saw her on the ground and shouted, "Why must you embarrass me all the time? Can't you even sit properly?" Glory stretched her hand, hoping for help, but her mother turned away and hissed, "I have enough stress already, please. Don't add to it." Glory dragged herself across the floor, back to her wheelchair, like a wounded animal, with no one to carry her. Then her father returned from work, briefcase in one hand, a big smile on his face. "Gloria," he shouted, "I'm home with new toys for you." He walked past Glory like she was air. He didn't even look in her direction. Glory looked at him with hopeful eyes, but he didn't even blink. She sat there, staring at the door. Sometimes she wouldn't eat. She would push her food away, hoping someone would notice. Maybe her mum would say, "Glory, are you okay?" Or her dad would ask, "Why haven't you eaten today?" Even Gloria, maybe, just maybe. But nobody ever asked. She'd cry herself to sleep on an empty stomach. Stomach growling, heart breaking, spirit fading. She even stopped sleeping at night. She would sit in the dark, whispering to herself, "If I disappear, would anyone notice?" She started talking to her old teddy bear. "You still love me, right? You won't leave me too?" At this point, Glory wasn't just crippled in body, she was broken in spirit. Her sister had become a shining star. Her parents had moved on like they never had two daughters. She felt like a ghost in her own home. Years rolled by, and just like that, the twins who once wore matching dresses now lived like strangers in the same house. All attention on Gloria. She became the princess of the home, beautiful, proud, loud, and always in the spotlight. Private school, French lessons, ballet classes, vacations in Dubai, new phones every term, and when she clocked 16, she got a car she didn't even know how to drive. Her parents called her our golden daughter, our pride and joy, the future of this family. As for Glory, she became a permanent shadow. She watched her twin sister glow while she sat in the corner invisible. She never got to attend school, not even the free ones in the neighborhood. Her parents said, "What's the point? She can't even walk. Let her rest at home." So while Gloria was studying in top schools across Europe, Glory's only education came from their chef. Yes, the cook, an old woman named Mama Ifeoma, who once said she was a teacher before turning to cooking. Every afternoon, she would sneak Glory into the kitchen, give her paper, and teach her to read. Glory would smile and whisper, "Thank you, Mama. You're the only one who sees me." But even Mama Ifeoma couldn't protect her from everything. At 16, one cruel evening, Glory had wheeled herself into the living room. She wanted to watch a movie with her family. Just sit beside them, feel normal. But as she entered, Gloria shouted, "Ah, this girl again, can't she just disappear for once?" Mother added with a hiss, "Glory, please go to your room. Don't come and disturb us with your presence. This is not the time." Father, as usual, stayed silent. He didn't even look up from his newspaper. So Glory wheeled herself out, silently, heart crushed, stomach empty, eyes full of tears. That night she cried into her pillow, not because they shouted at her, but because she realized she didn't even feel like a daughter anymore, and may not forever. She whispered, "Maybe I was just born to suffer." Gloria turned 17, and her birthday was grand. Decorations, cameras, cakes taller than the chef. Guests arrived in expensive cars. Musicians came to perform. They called her Princess G. Glory? She wasn't even allowed to come out of her room. She sat by the window, watching from above, like a prisoner watching people celebrate freedom. She counted the balloons, listened to the music, heard them laugh, and she cried silently. "We were born the same day. Why does it feel like I wasn't born at all?" One day she fell sick. High fever, vomiting. She could barely move her arms. Mother's response? Maybe it's because she keeps dragging herself all over the floor like an abandoned rat. They left her like that for 2 days. No doctor, no medicine, just a wet towel the chef placed on her head when no one was looking. As the years passed, Gloria blossomed into a fine young woman, beautiful, popular, and full of pride. She flaunted her beauty on social media. She told her followers, "My twin is, let's just say, not my level." But Glory? She stayed in the shadows, teaching herself from old books Mama Ifeoma found in the store, hiding her tears, praying quietly, hoping that one day someone, somewhere, would see her pain and say, "You matter." By 23, Gloria wasn't just a pretty face anymore. She was the boss. Her father handed her the position of Director of Finance like it was a birthday gift, just like that. No interview, no struggle, just, "Gloria, I trust you. Handle it." And oh, did she handle it. Within months, Gloria became the heartbeat of the company's money. She controlled every kobo, every signature, every bank alert. Suppliers couldn't get paid without her approval. Even some of the company's board members were scared to cross her. And her father? He stopped checking. He trusted her blindly, letting her represent him at major board meetings, travel to international conferences, sign multi-million-dollar deals. While Glory, her own twin, was still at home, wearing hand-me-downs and wheeling herself around a broken backyard. But Gloria? She was flying business class to Dubai, sitting front row in Paris, snapping selfies at corporate events in London. And let's not forget, social media Gloria. She never posted without a filter, never wore the same dress twice, and never missed a chance to brag. Her captions were full of fire and salt. Big girl with bigger energy. Some of us were born to sit at tables, not knock on doors. Don't compete where you don't compare. Daughter of Grace, CEO in heels. And the comments. Queen of soft life. You're the real boss lady. How can someone be this fine and this rich? Of course, none of them knew her family had another daughter. No one ever saw Glory, because Gloria never posted her, never talked about her, never even tagged her in family pictures. To the world, Gloria was the only child. At the office, workers greeted her with fear and fake smiles. "Good morning, Ma! Yes, Ma, I'll print it now, Ma!" "Of course, Director Gloria." She walked in like a goddess, hair laid, nails done, perfume expensive. Everyone rose when she entered, because in that company, she was untouchable. But back at home, Glory still sat by the window, still reading worn-out novels, still eating whatever Mama Ifioma could sneak her, still wondering why God gave her a twin, only to erase her name from the family. And while Gloria signed million-dollar checks with a diamond pen, she never once checked on her sister. Not a knock. Not a "how are you?" Not even a leftover from her luxury trips, because to Gloria, Glory didn't exist. Months later, it was a bright Saturday morning. Gloria was lounging on her king-sized bed, wrapped in silk sheets, face mask on, phone in hand, sipping iced coffee from a golden straw. As usual, she was doing what she loved most, scrolling through social media and judging people for sport. Her eyes landed on a picture that nearly made her spit out her coffee. A newlywed couple. The groom was short, dark-skinned, with a heavy nose and crooked smile. The bride looked average. Gloria hissed, loudly. She screenshot the post and wrote under it, "Tufi Aqua, if this is what marriage looks like, I'd rather stay single. Gloria Okoye, can never marry an ugly man. Never, God forbid." She posted it with laughing emojis. People started commenting. "Gloria, no day disappoint. Tell them, Jar, not only fine boys fit enter our princess lane." She was still basking in the attention when a new message popped up in her inbox. Unknown account. No mutual friends. No blue tick. But the profile photo? Who? A man. Tall, handsome, perfectly trimmed beard, skin like caramel, wearing a designer suit beside a yacht. "Hello, beauty. Can we be friends?" Gloria blinked twice, sat up properly. She clicked on his profile, another picture, this time on a private jet. Next one at a conference, shaking hands with big men in suits. His name? Jay Daniels. His bio? Investor, billionaire, tech tycoon based in California and Dubai. Gloria's heart skipped. She replied almost immediately, "Hi, I don't usually reply strangers, but you're cute, so I'll make an exception." That was how it started. G-bam, just like that. Within weeks, they were chatting every single day. Morning greetings, midday check-ins, late-night voice notes with sweet whispers. He called her my diamond. She called him Jay Baby. And before long, Jay Daniels started posting her too. Yes-o. Her photos, her quotes, even her voice notes. He would post her and write things like, "Found peace in a woman called Gloria. Only one queen. When you meet the real one, you just know." Her followers, they went crazy. "Is this your man? Wahala for who no get J.O. Couple goals activated. This one fine pass money. E-choke." And Gloria? She was flying with pride. Every post had her nails done, face beat, outfit worth thousands. Captions like, "Sorry I'm taken, billionaires only, Jay Daniels or nothing. Some of us don't beg for love, we attract it." She even posted this one, "From boardroom to Bay's Arms. Grace found me and named me Gloria." Meanwhile, back at home, Glory sat by the window again, watching her sister pose in different outfits. Mama Ifioma shook her head and said, "One day monkey go market, no go return." But Gloria didn't care. She had her man. He said he was flying in soon. He said he'd marry her in a royal wedding. He even said they may spend their honeymoon in space. She started dreaming of a new surname, Gloria Daniels. She told her parents proudly, "Jay is coming soon. Start preparing. I'm leaving this house with style." And they were proud. Marrying a billionaire? What a daughter we have. Her father called her our ticket to international fame. Her mother already started sewing Aso Ebi. Meanwhile, for Glory, it's another story. Glory sat quietly by the window, her wheelchair facing the sunrise, her hands folded on her lap like a prisoner waiting for judgment. The news is everywhere, yes, everywhere. She had heard it, yes, loud and clear, from the whispers of the maids to the loud conversations over the phone. Gloria was getting married. The suitor? A foreign-trained billionaire's son who owned tech firms across Africa. The media couldn't keep calm. Gloria Okoye is off the market. They screamed headlines like it was a national victory. But Glory? She smiled. A painful, lonely kind of smile. I'm happy for her, she had whispered to herself. My sister deserves love, even if I don't. But peace didn't last long. The day the wedding planning began, so did Glory's punishment. Suddenly her meals were no longer sent upstairs. When she asked why, the maid hissed, I don't want Madame Gloria to see me attending to you. She warned all of us. Her little moments of joy, her afternoon sun basking by the garden, her early morning stroll on her wheelchair around the compound, were all banned, locked, sealed. Stay in your room. Guests will soon start coming for fittings. You don't want to scare anyone, Gloria said, standing in the doorway like a queen speaking to her slave. But I haven't seen the sun in days, Glory whispered, voice trembling. Gloria scoffed. Good, your skin needs rest anyway. You don't want to get darker, do you? The laugh that followed was cruel, cold, wicked. Even the new maids avoided her like she carried leprosy. One even screamed when she saw her in the hallway by mistake. She walks, the girl said, clutching her chest. I thought she was just a story. That night, Glory cried into her pillow, her tears soaking through the already worn sheets. She tried not to make a sound. Crying too loud would only bring trouble. But her sobs betrayed her. Someone banged on her door. Shut up in there. Don't you know visitors are around? Do you want to ruin the bride's image with your pitiful sounds? Even their mother now acted like she didn't exist. She passed her on the stairs without a single glance. The once little girl who was called my baby sunshine was now treated like a secret, a shameful scar the family kept hidden. The day the wedding dress arrived, they threw a party. There was music, cake, and cheers. But Glory, she was locked in, not just in a room, in a world of pain, rejection, and loneliness, and all she could do was stare at the ceiling, wondering, when did I become a ghost in my own home? She reached for her old photo album. 2 little girls, smiling in matching dresses, one named Gloria, the other, Glory, forgotten, hidden, broken, but breathing, barely. A few days later, just as the morning sun filtered through the dusty blinds of her lonely room, Glory sat on her bed, staring blankly at the peeling wallpaper. Her eyes were swollen from crying, and her throat felt like sandpaper from silent sobs. She had stopped counting the days. What was there to count when no one remembered you existed? So counting how long I've been in here is a waste of time. Just then, knock, knock, knock. A soft knock, then a creak. The door opened slowly. It was Mama Ifeoma, the oldest and kindest maid in the house. The chief. Her steps were slow, her face stiff with emotion as she shut the door gently behind her. Glory, she whispered. Glory didn't even turn. If they sent you to change my bedsheet, I've already done it myself. Mama Ifeoma shook her head quickly and limped forward. No, my child, I sneaked in here. It won't be nice if I didn't tell you this myself. Glory looked up, wiping her face. What is it again, Auntie? Another ban? Is it my window curtain this time? Mama Ifeoma knelt before her like a mother before a dying child. Her voice trembled. You're getting married. In 2 days. Glory froze. She blinked. What? She whispered, then laughed bitterly. Me or Gloria? Mama Ifeoma shook her head slowly. You, my dear. You. Glory's hands dropped. Her lips parted in shock. I don't understand. Mama Ifeoma leaned closer, whispering like she was telling a condemned prisoner their final hour. A beggar just arrived at the estate, a young, rugged man with tattered clothes. Your twin sister saw him and promised to give him money if he agrees to marry you in 2 days." "What?" Glory gasped. What? They want to throw me away? Like cabbage? Like rotten beans?" Mama Ephioma nodded slowly, her eyes heavy with sorrow. "But child, the beggar refused to take the money. He still agreed to marry you, but he said he doesn't want their money. He only asked for water to drink." That broke Glory. Tears flowed freely down her face like a river with no dam. Her hands shook violently. "So they're finally tired of me," she cried. "They want me gone. They want me to disappear like I was never born. I'm the stain on their perfect white cloth. This is my punishment for being different. For being sick." She covered her face in shame. But Mama Ephioma quickly pulled her into a tight hug. "No, child. No, you're not the stain. You're the treasure they were too blind to see. I know it doesn't make sense now. I know this is cruel. But maybe, just maybe, you will find peace where they threw you." They stayed locked in that embrace, two hearts broken by a home filled with beauty but no love. As Mama Ephioma whispered a silent prayer over her, "I pray you find love, my baby, the kind they could never give you. And peace, peace in the arms of a man who sees your soul." Glory held her tighter and cried harder, because in that moment, the truth had never been clearer. She wasn't being married. She was being discarded. That same evening, the grand chandelier in the living room sparkled above them as if mocking the darkness of the conversation below. Gloria sat crossed-legged on the velvet couch, her arms folded, her perfectly done nails tapping against her phone screen as her face twisted in disgust. "Mom, I am tired," she hissed. "Tired of knowing that she still exists in this house. It's exhausting. Every time I walk past her room, I feel my stomach turn." Her mother, elegant in pearls and wine-red lipstick, looked up from her teacup and smiled faintly. "My darling, calm down. Don't let her ruin your glow. You're the bride, remember? The most beautiful bride-to-be this city has ever seen." She leaned closer and added with a sly grin, "But honestly, I do wish she could witness your beautiful wedding before hers. She may not even witness anything if she gets married first. They won't have money to pay for their transportation." Gloria snapped, her voice sharper this time. "What if the media finds out I have a twin sister? A twin sister that looks like that?" She shuddered. Her father, who had been quietly reading the business section of the newspaper, folded it and looked up with finality. "Then let her leave," he said. "Let her get married first. Since that beggar has agreed, we shouldn't waste time. Opportunities like this don't knock twice." Gloria's eyes lit up. "Yes, Dad. This might be our only chance to erase her quietly. One wedding to a beggar, and she's gone." Her mother chuckled, dabbing her lips with a napkin. "A wedding with no gown, no guests, no cake, just silence. How fitting." "And no photos," Gloria laughed, tossing her curls proudly. "No one will ever believe we're related. No one will ever know she was once part of this family." The room echoed with laughter. Cruel laughter, cold laughter. Laughter that sounded more like thunder before a storm. They were planning a farewell, not with gifts, but with shame. Not with joy, but with urgency to erase a soul. And in the quiet of the hallway, Mama Ephioma stood in the shadows, fists clenched, heart pounding, tears in her eyes. She had heard everything. 2 days later, just as planned. The gate creaked open slowly, and there he was, a lone figure, walking with slow steps into the estate like he didn't belong. His faded shirt hung loosely on his bony frame, and the slippers on his feet had more holes than soles. His face was gentle, but tired, and though his clothes looked like they were picked from a forgotten trash heap, his eyes carried something different. Quiet strength. He was the beggar, the one who agreed to marry Glory without taking a single coin, the one chosen not out of love but as a tool to erase her existence. He stood silently at the entrance, surrounded by sneering guards and whispering maids, his eyes scanning the compound, then resting on the figure being wheeled out of the house. Glory. She sat on the old, rusted wheelchair with no cushion. Dressed in the simplest dress, her face was pale, but her eyes were alive with pain. So much pain. Tears poured silently down her cheeks. She clutched a single paper flower in her trembling hands. As she got closer, she looked up and saw her twin sister, standing tall and proud in a luxury silk robe. "As you wish, sister," Glory whispered, voice cracking with sorrow. "I am leaving to give you space. Goodbye, sister." Gloria rolled her eyes and folded her arms. She smirked like a queen watching a servant being thrown out of the palace. "Good riddance," she muttered. Their father laughed darkly. "Goodbye, Glory," he said with a clap, as if it was some comedy act. Their mother joined in. "Finally, peace and class shall reign in this house again." The three of them laughed, echoing through the compound like a cruel drumbeat. The beggar looked at Glory and gently took the handles of the wheelchair. He didn't speak. He didn't complain. He just held her with quiet dignity as they moved slowly towards the waiting taxi at the gate. "Taxi is ready," a guard announced mockingly, opening the dented door. As they reached the gate, Gloria couldn't resist. She stood on the balcony and shouted, laughing hysterically, "Hail the cripple and the beggar couple!" Everyone around joined in the cruel chorus. Cripple and beggar, shame and poverty, waste and trash. Mama Ifeoma covered her mouth and wept bitterly, standing by the side, watching the only innocent soul being driven out like garbage. As the taxi pulled away, Glory didn't look back, but her tears didn't stop. And the beggar gently placed a hand on her shoulder and whispered, "From today, you are not trash, you are mine." The gates closed behind them, but destiny had just opened a new one. The very next morning after Glory's shameful departure, the atmosphere in the house shifted. No more whispers, no more secrets. Gloria could now finally shine without her twin shadow. She danced barefoot in her room, clutching her phone as Jay Daniels' deep voice played over and over again from a voice note. "The millions I just sent, it's for your parents' outfit. I want both of them to look stunningly beautiful for our wedding." That was all she needed to hear. She screamed with laughter. "Oh my God, thanks, darling! I am so lucky to have you." She replied instantly with another long voice note, filled with fake baby talk, kisses, and high-pitched excitement. Then the real drama began. Gloria was glued to her phone like it was her breath of life. Hours turned into long conversations with Jay, chatting, sending voice notes, resharing pictures of possible wedding themes, cake designs, matching colours, imported champagne, and gold-plated rings. No one in that house had ever seen Gloria smile this much. Every single thing changed the moment Jay's money arrived. A new dawn broke for the household. A luxury wedding planner from Lagos was flown in. Caterers, decorators, event bouncers, and makeup artists started calling her Madam Bride. Boxes of lace and aso-ebi filled the sitting room. A golden invitation card was sent out to 500 selected guests only. Even her father stood straighter now, proudly sipping red wine and boasting to his friends, "My daughter is marrying an international billionaire, not one of those local boys." Her mother, not left out, brought tailors to the house and began daily fittings. She posted everything online, captioning it, "A mother's joy, the reward of patience, billionaire bride mama." Servants were warned not to breathe too loud. The compound was washed twice daily. A red carpet was ordered to be laid from the gate to the entrance. Cameras were mounted, influencers were booked. Even 2 TikTok dancers came to rehearse for the bridal shower. Meanwhile, Gloria sat in her room, phone in hand, practicing how to say "I do" in a British accent, just in case. And every night before she slept, she replayed Jay's voice notes, smiling wickedly to herself and whispering, "Look at me now, Glory. Beggar girl is gone, and the Queen is rising." A week to her wedding. The bathroom steamed with sweet-scented soap and excitement. Gloria was scrubbing her glowing skin when her phone started ringing again, the same ringtone she had proudly assigned to Jay Daniels, her prince. She smiled lazily at first, humming, but when it rang the 4th time, her heart skipped. That's Jay. Something's wrong." She rushed out, dripping wet, nearly slipping on the tiles. She grabbed the phone, still lathered in bubbles, and answered breathlessly. "Baby? Baby, what's happening?" But the voice on the other end wasn't his. It was a low, calm, foreign male voice. "Hello, you don't know me. I'm with Jay. He's been trying to fly into Nigeria today. He slipped and fell in the bathroom. It's very serious. He's in bad shape." Gloria froze. Her towel dropped. "Who are you? Where's Jay?" she stammered. The voice replied. "He already converted all his foreign money into Naira and transferred it into his Nigerian account yesterday. You're the only one who can help him now. He needs urgent treatment. Please don't tell anyone. He said no panic, no alarm. Just help. If he doesn't get the money fast, he might not make it in time for the wedding." A deep silence fell in the room. Her hands trembled. Gloria's voice cracked. "Send me the account details, please. I'll convert Naira into hard currency. I'll do it now." She hung up. In less than 2 hours, billions were flying out of her hands. She didn't blink. Every company fund in her custody, gone. She postponed contract executions, called vendors, gave excuses. She even issued a company-wide memo. "Due to an emergency investment window, all pending contracts are on hold. Be patient." Staff whispered behind her back, "Madam Bride is moving strange. Why the panic? Why is she emptying the company account days before her wedding?" But she didn't care. She was too desperate, too in love, too blind. By the next morning she had already sent money more than 12 times. No one knew, no one suspected, and she told herself over and over again, "He's mine. I'll save him. I'll do anything. I'm not losing this wedding." And Gloria? She lay in her room. No food, no lights, no dreams. Her white wedding dress hung by the window, staring back at her like a ghost of what should have been. She had lost money, lost dignity, lost trust, almost lost her parents. And for the first time in her life, she wanted to disappear. 3 weeks had passed, just 21 days. But for Gloria and her family, it felt like 21 years of pain. The house that once held laughter, scented candles, marble floors, and imported wine glasses now echoed with silence. Dust gathered on untouched furniture. Visitors stopped coming. Everyone avoided them like they carried a curse. It all began with a phone call from the bank, a quiet voice that shattered everything. "Good morning, Mr. Halston Okoye. Unfortunately, your company's account is empty, and the 3 billion Naira loan you guaranteed with your home is now due." Mr. Halston Okoye, Gloria's father, laughed nervously. "That must be a mistake. We just secured a 500 million government contract. Check again." "We also got a contract from Cambridge Chiara worth 700 million Naira. The banker sighed. "Sir, the entire contract money was transferred by your Director of Finance 3 weeks ago to a foreign account, a man named Daniels." Silence. Then the paper in his hand dropped. His wife ran into the room. "Halston, what is it? What's going on?" His hand trembled as he looked up at her and whispered, "It's Gloria. She gave him everything." At Kingsworth Boardroom, the boardroom was packed. Angry investors, furious partners, legal advisors shouting over one another. "You mean to tell me the Director of Finance moved over 1 billion to a man she barely knew? Where was the oversight? This company is finished. I'm pulling out every single Naira I invested." Mr. Halston Okoye stood frozen as files were thrown on the table, evidence of fund transfers, forged approval, and a shocking revelation. Gloria Okoye diverted over 200 million from pending contracts to pay for her wedding. Evidence of fund transfers, forged approvals, and the shocking revelation. Gloria Okoye diverted over 200 million from pending contracts to pay for her wedding. Imported roses, VIP flight tickets, expensive hotels, and worst of all, 900 million she transferred directly to Jay when he claimed he needed to settle his international medical bill, all without her parents' knowledge. Gloria stood before her parents, shivering. Tears ran down her cheeks as her father shouted, You have killed us, Gloria. I built this company from nothing. Your mother and I starved to get here, and you gave it all to a ghost." Her mother collapsed on the couch, wailing, 900 million, Gloria. For what? For a man you didn't even know. You diverted contract money meant for staff, suppliers, people who trusted us. Gloria dropped to her knees, crying. I just wanted the wedding to be perfect. I didn't want him to think we were small. He said he'd return the money immediately after the wedding. Her father stepped back, eyes wide with betrayal. You trusted a man over your own blood? Without telling us? You sold out everything we built. For a fairy tale. 2 days later, just as the sun began to rise, the sirens came. Police officers, bank officials, court enforcers. A court order was pasted on their gate. Property seized. Their cars were towed. The gates locked. Everything was gone. Neighbours peeked through windows. Some whispered, some recorded. A headline had already hit the internet. Kingsworth Empire crumbles. Daughter's romance scam destroys billion-naira dynasty. Photos of Gloria's grand pre-wedding photo shoot were placed side by side with their eviction. She thought she found a billionaire. Now she's begging at the gate. The girl who lost everything for love. One popular blogger wrote, she looted her father's company to impress a man who vanished. Now her family sleeps under a bridge. If this isn't madness, I don't know what is. That same evening, Gloria sat with her head on her knees. No wigs, no makeup, just dust and regret. Her mother sat by the wall, shaking in silence. Her father hadn't spoken in hours. In 3 weeks they had gone from billionaires to homeless nobodies. A few days had crawled by, slow, heavy and cruel. Rainwater seeped in through broken concrete. Mosquitoes danced around their night. No food, no friends, no dignity left to cling to. The once wealthy Okoye family, now hiding like fugitives inside an uncompleted high-rise, barely slept on the cold, dusty floor, wrapping themselves in old tarps and dreams that had died too fast. Then, on the early morning of a fateful day, voices, boots, shouts. The sound of men dragging tools and mixing cement broke through the quiet. Suddenly, about 10 workers marched into the building, laughing and tossing bags of cement down, but they halted when they saw a family lying motionless on the floor, dusty, weak and clearly out of place. What the hell? The site engineer barked, stepping forward. Who are you people? Why are you here? Mr. Okoye struggled to stand, wiping his dirty hands on his shirt, shame wrapped around his voice. Please, sir, I beg you. Don't chase us out. Just a little longer. We have nowhere else. The engineer squinted, taken aback by how broken and humbled the once powerful man now looked. He hesitated. Mrs. Okoye stepped forward quickly, her scarf half torn, eyes desperate. Please, sir, let us work with you. Anything. Just let us stay. We're starving. Even Gloria, the once shining director of finance who had walked red carpets in designer heels, raised her hand timidly like a beggar in the street. I'll carry sand, anything. Just pay us something small, sir. Please. The engineer sighed, then pointed to the far end of the site. Go on, then. Get water. Start helping. And don't slack. If you mess up, you're out. They chorused. Thank you, sir. And so began their daily humiliation. From morning till night they carried bricks, fetched water, pushed wheelbarrows, swept floors and followed orders from much younger men. Their hands, once soft with luxury, bled from work. They washed with rainwater, slept under open skies. But at least they ate, at least they survived. Until one morning. The workers gathered as the engineer called everyone to attention. Listen up, Mr. and Mrs. Banky. Yes, the owners of this site returned to the country 2 days ago. They're coming here today to inspect this project. You all know they own this place and many others, so I want everything perfect. No laziness. He turned and pointed to the Okoye family. You too. I need your very best. I don't want Mr. Banky to notice you're not part of our trained team. So no dulling. Fetch sand fast. Keep bricks moving. Blend in. Mr. Okoye bowed his head. Thank you so much, sir. This work has really kept us alive. Gloria wiped sweat from her forehead, her face stained with dust but lit with the tiniest smile. "I'll do better today, sir." They all nodded. They had fallen so far from grace, but somehow still held on to hope. A moment later, the sun had barely risen when the loud blare of sirens pierced the air around the uncompleted building. A black convoy swept in, sleek jeeps, 2 escort vans and a police truck trailing behind. The workers all straightened up, murmuring among themselves. "The Bankies have arrived!" The engineer announced, adjusting his helmet nervously. Everyone quickly scrambled to work. Bricks were moved faster, sand fetched hastily, buckets of water sloshed through the site. But the Okoys? They were frozen, covered in dust, sweat and shame. Gloria wiped her forehead and adjusted her torn scarf. Mr. Okoye stood by a pile of blocks, breathing heavily. Mrs. Okoye clutched her wrapper, nervous and trembling. Then the car door opened. Out stepped her, elegant, radiant, glowing with wealth and power. Her heels clicked on the stony ground like a queen walking into a palace. Her fitted designer suit hugged her now complete figure. No longer crippled, no longer hidden. Her beauty was sharp, untouchable. But her eyes locked on Gloria. A cold wind seemed to blow between them. "Gloria?" she muttered under her breath, her perfectly painted nails clutching her handbag tighter. "Is that you?" Mr. and Mrs. Okoye turned sharply, and then it hit them. Their eyes widened. Mrs. Okoye stumbled backward, mouth agape. "Glory," she gasped, clutching her chest. No, it can't be." Mr. Okoye's jaw dropped. "But you were crippled. We married you off to—" Glory chuckled bitterly. "Yes," she said with tears welling up, her voice calm but sharp. "The crippled twin, the embarrassment, the discarded trash you dumped into a stranger's hands." Behind her another door opened. Mr. Banky stepped down, suave, commanding, dressed in white and gold agbada, the kind of man that made men bow and women stare. But they didn't recognize him. They had only known him as the new arrival beggar who loitered near their gate, the one they had driven away with insults and rotten leftovers. The irony slapped Gloria across the face. Her eyes widened and she whispered to herself, "No, it can't be." "Meet my husband," Glory said slowly, her eyes never leaving Gloria. "The same beggar you all spat on, the man I was forced to marry while you basked in borrowed luxury, while you—" she pointed a trembling hand at her twin sister— "squandered the company money on a fake wedding and ran off with a fraud." Gloria burst into tears, collapsing to the ground, her palms scraping the cement as she bowed her head in shame. Mrs. Okoye dropped to her knees too, weeping. "Forgive us, Glory. We were blind, foolish. We thought we were protecting our image. We didn't know." Mr. Okoye was silent, but his face said it all. He was broken. The workers stared, stunned. Glory stepped forward, her voice trembling. "You abandoned me. Because I had a limp. Because I was sick. You stole my childhood from me, thinking I wasn't good enough. And now look at you, living in dirt, begging to carry bricks. This is what pride does. This is what cruelty creates." Her husband, Mr. Banky, moved closer to her, gently placing his hand on her shoulder. He looked down at the family, dusty, hungry and homeless, but he said nothing. Glory turned slowly to the engineer. "Who hired them?" The engineer scratched his head nervously. "They've been squatting here, Ma, even before we resumed this new phase, but they've also been working really hard for daily food. I allowed it out of pity." Glory smiled. "Clear them out," she said coldly. "This is not a charity ground." "No, please," Mrs. Okoye screamed, clinging to her leg. "Let us stay. Just one more night. We have nowhere to go." Glory pulled away gently. Her eyes welled up again, but this time not from pity, from pain. The construction site fell silent. "You had a home once," Glory whispered, standing tall in her crisp designer gown, her heels barely sinking into the dusty ground. "But you threw it away." Her voice was calm, too calm. It sliced deeper than a scream ever could. Then, slowly, she turned her back on the people who once traded her like a defective object. Her hands trembled, but her spine remained straight like a queen walking away from her ruined kingdom. Mr. Banky stepped forward, placing a protective hand on her back as she walked. But before entering the black SUV, he turned to the stunned crowd. His voice cut through the air like a knife. "I wasn't poor," he began. "I was heartbroken." Gasps rippled. "I was broken from too many women who only wanted my name, my bank, my connections, not me. I disguised myself as a beggar to escape it all. And then your daughter, Gloria, showed up." He paused, eyes narrowing as they locked with Mrs. O'Coy's. "She offered me money, cold hard cash, just to marry her crippled twin sister so she could have his charming prince. You all gave her to me like trash, and we left." He took a deep breath, but his words grew warmer now. "We travelled abroad for her surgery. We fixed what was broken, not just her legs, but her soul as well. She told me all she suffered." He looked down at Gloria, who was still on her knees, dust in her hair, mud streaked across her face like shame. "Thank you," he said with a painful smirk. "Thank you for giving her to me. She is the best woman in the world." And with that, he stepped back, nodded to the driver, and the convoy engines roared back to life. Tires rolled over the gravel. Dust exploded into the air, blinding the workers and covering the O'Coys in a thick cloud of humiliation. The laughter of the workers, which had been stifled moments ago, now burst out uncontrollably. They pointed. Some even filmed. A few murmured things like, "Nawa, this life en. She gave away a queen just to marry money. See Karma'u, see real-life film." Gloria remained on the ground, unmoving. Tears soaked the dust beneath her. Her father sat beside her now, face buried in his palms, the proud man now reduced to sobs. Her mother leaned against a rusted pillar, too numb to speak. But the haunting part wasn't the crowd, it was the silence that followed. The moment the convoy disappeared, it was as if the sun itself dimmed, as if fate had pulled its curtain, leaving only ruins behind. And her twin sister? She vanished into the glow of her second chance, never once looking back. 3 weeks later, the uncompleted building grew colder that night. Rain trickled through open cracks in the concrete. Mr. O'Coy wrapped his shivering wife in his shirt. But Gloria? She stopped being Gloria. She started refusing food. She stopped combing her hair. She sat by the edge of the structure every morning, staring into the distance, murmuring the same words, "I was loved once, I was loved. I chose gold instead of blood." Until one morning, she was gone. The workers searched. Her parents screamed. The engineer called the police. Hours later, she was found sitting under a collapsed bus stop not far from the site, rocking back and forth, barefoot, soaked by the early dew. When they called her name, she looked up and smiled, a childlike, broken smile. "I found her," she whispered. "She vanished into her second chance. Now let me vanish too." Her mother burst into tears. Her father dropped to his knees. The crowd around the building grew. Phones captured the moment. Photos flooded the internet with headlines. "Fallen heiress now begs where she once ruled." Twin betrayal. Gloria Okoye and her crippled sister's revenge. From billionaire's daughter to construction worker, a tragic fall. But in another part of the city, away from the dust, the ruins and the shame, a new chapter was blooming, elegant, quiet and healed. Mama Ifeoma, the Okoye's oldest maid, stood at the entrance of her brand-new duplex, mouth wide open, hands trembling over her chest. This is mine?" she stammered. Mr. Banky smiled warmly, nodding. "Yes, Mama, you deserve it." His voice carried gratitude, not pity. "You were the only one who stood by my wife's side when the whole world turned against her. You were her teacher, her maid, her shield, her only family." Mama Ifeoma blinked rapidly, her lips quivering. "Ah, God, Glory, my child." "She's not the same Glory," Mr. Banky whispered. "She's now the woman her pain couldn't destroy." Beside him, Glory, or rather Mrs. Glory Banky, stepped forward elegantly that whispered power with every movement. She hugged Mama Ifeoma deeply, then handed a key and document to her. "That's your supermarket. Everything is in your name." "No more backyards," she whispered. "No more scraps. You're home now, Mama." Mrs. Glory Banky, formerly the discarded twin, sat beside her husband in their glass tower home. She watched the videos silently. Her husband watched her quietly, unsure how she'd respond. He knew she had every right to feel satisfaction, but he also knew her heart. "Do you want us to help them?" he asked gently. "A house, money, something?" Glory didn't answer immediately. She stared at the screen, her expression unreadable. Then slowly she shook her head. "No, let the world see what cruelty births. Let them know that hearts do remember." She stood, walking toward the floor-to-ceiling window. The city sparkled beneath her like diamonds. Her reflection, proud and whole, stared back at her. "That was never revenge," she said, voice barely above a whisper. "That was restoration." Her husband rose behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. She leaned into him, not broken, not bitter, just beautifully rebuilt. "Hello, besties." And so, the girl once thrown away, the twin once considered worthless, the woman once mocked for her scars and silence, she rose. Not in hate, not in revenge, but in healing, in quiet strength and undeniable grace. She didn't need to destroy them. Life did that. All she had to do was survive. Besties, did you see that? That's what happens when you plant cruelty. You harvest regret. But when you water love, even if it's in the shadows, it grows into royalty. Don't forget to like, comment in your own language, and subscribe for more shocking stories filled with pain, power, and poetic justice. You still remain my besties forever. Bye for now.